Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason. Going to be covering a match today on Titan version 3.1. It's a map that hasn't been covered all too often, or at least I don't remember covering it all too often, so I'm excited to take a look at it today and show you guys what goes down exactly between these two teams. Representing our blue team, going to be playing as a blue Cortex Commander, spawning all the way over here on the eastern side. It's going to be Oralni Zykus. Yeah. Our blue team leader is probably what I'll refer to them as from now on. Going to be representing the blue team as a Cortex Commander going into a bot lab here. Real quickly, I just want to take a look. I guess you can kind of backline here, but not really. Not with very much dedication. There's a lot of open ground that you're going to have to cover, and so I feel like some backline compromises are going to have to be made. Representing the red team, a very familiar face, seen around the Brightworks community here, and especially in the Discord, which I'll have a link to down below in case you're interested in joining up. It's Angry Strawberry, going to be representing the red team, also as a Cortex Commander, and hopefully leading her team to victory. Spawning on the northwestern side here. Bit of an interesting geographical feature over here on this northwestern side. You can see there's this little ridge line where you can push up and down. Vehicles going to struggle on that a little bit, but the bots are probably going to have a slightly easier time. And you can see there's also a very valuable metal extractor over here, as well as a geothermal spot, both of which I'm sure these commanders are going to be eager to try and get their grubby little mitts on. Pushing up already very far forward, very aggressive expansion right here is Zhong Konji. Moving forward, the hot pink, or well, I guess that's more the light pink commander, going up against Rodri. I don't know why I always put an accent on it, but anyways, Rodri going to be the lavender commander for today, representing the middle of the blue team here. Going to be going up 1v1 against this pink player. Zydka already pushing back the forces of Angry Strawberry, making sure to micro those grunts to the absolute maximum here. Trying to get every ever-living piece of value out from those grunts as possible. And Zydka is beelining for that advanced, well, not that advanced metal point, but rather that high-value metal point. Moving that commander around, kind of sidestepping it here on this little crater. Not bad. Just moving that commander around, trying desperately to get that 3.2 metal per second flowing into his economy rather than letting it fall to the hands of Angry Strawberry. Juniper and friends down south are going to be going up against My Booty Is Hard. A bit of an interesting matchup here, but Booty Is Hard has definitely captured this northern section well, for the time being at the very least. Yeah, getting this metal extractor locked down is going to be a lot of metal heading back. I mean, relative, right? It's 3.2 metal per second, but when that's almost half of your total economy right now, that's obviously a very big jump, at least in your production capabilities, that is. So that's, I'm sure, something that My Booty Is Hard is going to be more than happy to pull back into their bank account. Couple of ticks running across the map here looking for a trade. There's also an incisor going to snipe. Ooh, 2 metal extractors, might get a third. Probably not. That LOT might burst it down before it manages to. Ticks in the back line here, starting to get to work on whatever they can. Yeah, okay, gonna be microed. Incisor does go down. Tick will manage to get the metal extractor right there, and that is probably going to justify the cost of sending that tick across. I mean, it definitely justifies the cost of sending that tick, even if that metal extractor will be replaced here in just a moment. This, however, is much more impactful. Losing these metal extractors up in the middle of the map, it's going to take resources, but also a lot of time. Not to mention one of those was a 3.2 right there. Ooh, Constructor getting caught out in the middle of the map here by the forces of, well, the blue player. That's a great pick. That's a great pick. A solid start to a match. Strawberry on the northern side getting a nice little D-gun against one of those aggravators over here. Still 3 more to reinforce it, though, and this is a delicate dance. Always trying to keep those aggravators just out of range of the commander, but one by one they are going to be D-gunned down here. Strawberry doing an excellent job of baiting him in, switching it up, and then jumping on top of him for the D-gun here. Very difficult to micro, especially if you have ping. It can be even more frustrating to micro. A lot of grunts running right through the middle of the map here, and there's not a great, well, answer. I mean, there's medium tanks, sure. Medium tanks aren't really going to catch these. One of them will even be split off here. That's excellently done. Going to split off the grunt to try and do a little bit more damage, spread out across the map here, when no specific targets are to be, or well, no specific structures rather are to be targeted. Would have liked to see one of these split off to kill this metal extractor as well, but still turning down south here to try and do some damage to orange. Not the end of the world at all. Across the middle of the map, blue team has established firm control over the center of the map, even though there's not really very much to fight for across this line other than just a positional advantage. There is, however, a very forward vehicle bay here for Zhong Konji. Will it work in their favor? Well, It means those vehicles hit the front lines, I mean, instantly, right? They're produced on the front lines. Doesn't get much closer than that. Oh, wow. A LLT over here sniping the purple player's commander. That's really nice. Ganymede's now with some killer D-guns as well, gonna wipe away the entire purple force in one solid push right now. Juniper and friends making solid work of this purple commander up here in accompaniment with the orange commander. Very nicely done. Hot pink commander now going to be pulling back all that juicy metal and funneling it into her bank account. We do have a constructor coming up here. I was going to say build power might be on the docket. All that juicy metal going to be flowing in here. Oh, another commander going down right in the middle of the map right there. Very nicely done. Commander goes down to the forces here of our blue player. Are we going to get the lab too? It's 2 pawns. We will get the lab. All right. That, I mean, it justifies all of this. Roger now needs to move in and eat up all of that with the commander here. Absolutely the next best move. It's a commander's worth of metal as well as an entire vehicle bay here. 444 metal. Very satisfying number, at least to my calculations. Technospiff now stepping up to the plate. Going to be trying to fend off both of these commanders, Juniper and friends, as well as Ganymede's, from pushing any further here. Metal extractor already went down. LOTs were built up on this ridge line over here. Very nicely done, shutting down any more, any further construction over there. And now it's going to be a clash on the southern ledge over here. Technospiff going up against Ganymede. Not going to initiate the commander trade, instead going to try and put down a little bit of an LLT wall. D-guns right there from Ganymede will wipe out one of the blitzes as well as an LLT, but they won't be able to take out the rest of the blitzes. Oh, they might get the commander here. 7, 6. Oh, that commander is dangerously low. Blitzes do pull back just in time for orange to escape, but that was a very close call right there. Thinking about turning the game sounds up, but I think I'll just amplify the sound through my own ears. At this point, the blue team has firm control over the center of the map, and now this is becoming an issue because the 1.8 metal extractors are now firmly under their control. It's going to be a little bit more metal coming back to the blue economies. It's going to be a nice positional advantage. They have all of the room in the world to micro their armies and get excellent concaves against anything over here. And somehow, Zedeka's forces have fallen over on this northern side here. Where are Zedeka's units? He's got one incisor dead, another in ruin over there. Commander taking some brutal hits here from thugs as well as a whole bunch of those aggravators. Yeah, I mean, these thugs in the backline are just doing so much damage right now. Zedeka with 1% HP, all it takes is a single rocket. It will, oh, just barely dodged that first rocket. There's a couple more incoming though. Gonna have to do some phenomenal dancing. He won't be able to, and that's a commander going down. Angry Strawberry does manage to snipe Zedeka's commander. That's going to be a huge amount of pressure relieved from that red commander. She's going to have all that metal in her bank account as well as an open pathway directly into the enemy's base. Blossom trying desperately to defend with a whole bunch of these pawns, but how much are they really going to be able to do against a more advanced army of thugs and aggravators pushing towards that teal base? Southern side is falling quickly, as Juniper and Friends has brought a whole bunch of these lashers out, the Cortex missile truck here, as a method of siege. Going to be bursting down those LLTs one rocket at a time. Very slowly, but eventually. We need the commander here, though. The commander is the guarantee that assault forces like this aren't going to jump on top of everything. Well, that being said, I mean, I guess we're just going to keep those pulled to the front line, keep dancing them back and forth. Microing, in other words. Well, Resbots at the very least are going to keep this LOT alive. It's only a matter of time, though, before these lashers whittle everything down up here. These blitzes need to make a commitment. They either need to jump on top of this or need to pull back, but that single pounder is more than enough to deter these blitzes from jumping in there. That single pounder could, I mean, single-handedly shut down this entire cluster of units right here. The AoE on that thing is no joke, and it does tons of impulse as well, which makes it a very powerful workhorse. Across this front, we see grunts. We see medium tanks. We do see this line of LLTs that was built by God Official over here going down, and that is going to be another line pushed back here by the blue team. At this point, encroaching on even more of that juicy metal per second. Northern side is feeling that pressure. Yeah, we're starting to see the effects of that really early game aggression, as well as an army that is properly funded over here. Strawberry turning all that metal into a, well, a proper army. We've got aggravators, we've got thugs, we've got all sorts of different stuff. I mean, medium tanks are engaging medium tanks, so pretty even trade here, and I'm going to give it to the team with more tanks, and that's going to be Beanie Bot, who's got the medium tanks here to save Angry Strawberry's forces, and that's going to, well, allow for the push to continue over on the northern side here. Excellent coalition of arms over here. We have Tactful Wolf, Beanie Bot, and Angry Strawberry all working in great unison to apply tons and tons of pressure up to this northern side. There's just not enough forces contributed in this direction. G-Dragon. Yeah, G-Dragon. I almost said good dragon. G-Dragon here with a massive presence across the middle of the map, while the northern side of the map has completely fallen. Yeah, I mean, we are now completely out of the game here for Zeitka. There's no constructors left. He's going to be relying on the effects of a teammate in order to try and save this here. Blossom moving the commander forward in a stealth, well, in a cloak field. D-gun, 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 D-gun. What are we doing? D-gun. There we go. D-gun does finally connect here. Little late, though. I think a juicier D-gun was possible. Oh, yeah, trying to catch those tanks, but they don't want it. They know what happens if they get too close to a commander. They'll chain react, all of that. Juicy energy conversion, and at the very least get a little bit of damage done for their lives. T2 is now out on the field, though. Will it be enough for Blossom? Already a player down right here. We're going to need to see that player try and rebuild. Looks like all of the forces have been handed over to Blossom. What on earth? Everybody's tapping out left, right, and center. Juniper and friends getting pushed relentlessly right now. Never mind. I thought there was a little incursion of forces that were trying to jump on top of all this, but apparently it will not be the case, as it looks like it's going to be most of the yellow forces sweeping away the southern side down here. Juniper and friends with a contingent of Wolverines as well as Lashers in order to clean a lot of this up. Grunts as well, going to be moving in. Where are these coming out of? I guess just a lab somewhere in the middle of the blue team's base, the blue player's base. Using that positional advantage on the front is great, but doesn't really matter if you're being attacked from your own base, right? Blossom now with the difficult task of dealing with, yeah, I mean, two different players here. Looks like Zeitka is going to be handed this base on the southern side. That's quite nice. That's good reappropriation, right? I mean, you have base up north was lost, so you might as well just move them down south, and now you're in charge of dealing with all of this mess. Oftentimes frustrating to have that happen, but at the very least you get to play, so how much is there really to complain about? Yeah, I mean, Rocketeers and Wolverines, or rather Rocketeers and Maces, gonna be pretty good against Lashers. It's those Pounders, though, mixed in here. Oh, that was very cheeky right there. Blossom managed to move a commander in right next to Juniper and Friends commander. That's gonna be both of them going down right now, as well as a large portion of the army for the hot pink player here, but all of the forces for, was that Rodri's Rocketeers? Yeah, Rodri's Rocketeers. Sounds kind of nice, doesn't it? All those will be going down, and that is a huge bit of metal that is lying in ruin over there. We need some res bots out immediately. If the blue team were able to eat up all of the metal that is present over on this side of the map and turn it into units or economy, either one of them, I think they'd be in a really good spot here, but unfortunately they just don't have the res bots in position right now. This metal is lying in ruin. Ganymede's commander is right here. He could definitely go eat all that. I think it's probably a good idea to go for these LLTs, though, when you know that your opponent has so much army available, at least trying to fortify this and try and save your commander from going down and, well, joining the pile of corpses here. You can also, of course, D-gun down these wreckages and try and deny your opponent this wreckage, but sometimes it's easier said than done. Oh, yeah, Grunt's gonna AFK a little too close to the sun there. Not the end of the world. Losing a couple of them. Not you know, nothing too bad. A couple of Shuriken are here now. Are they gonna try and jump on top of all this? They sure are. Okay. Yeah, okay. Shuriken gonna paralyze some of these LLTs here. Not sure exactly why. Yeah. Didn't really capitalize on that very much, but better than nothing, I suppose. At least they went out with a little bang instead of a whimper. More Shuriken are on the docket. Okay, I think these are probably going to be able to find more effect over here against LLTs that are in more critical positions. Not for long, though, as those Whistlers will, sorry, the Lashers, rather, will manage to shoot them out of the skies here. Grunt's going to jump on top of these LLTs, but when Grunts surround LLTs and they explode, they do a huge chain of explosions, and yeah, you end up with a tricky scenario here. Ganymede's desperately needs the metal that's right here. Okay, there we go. Gonna start reclaiming all of it. I was wondering what was going on right there. Pumping out those T2 units is very expensive, especially when you're transitioning from that T1 to T2 economy. But yeah, certainly there's enough metal in these two commander wreckages here to fund all that. Twin guards have been set up over here. A more serious version of the laser tower. The laser tower is like hee-hee, but the twin guard is like haha, gotcha. Medium tanks here. Going to be dissuaded from pushing up that hill, and I think that's fair. Ooh, big commander death over on this side of the map. Ah. in his attempt to fly a little bit closer to the sun, Ganymede has been brought low by the almighty Janus. I know Ganymede isn't the one that I'm thinking of. Artemis, I do believe. No, it's the one. Who's the one that had the wax wings and he flew too close to the sun? Icarus, that's the one. Somebody already went to the comments and put it down there, only to come back to the video and have me figure it out 3 seconds later. Icarus flew too close to the metal spot and did end up going down here. At the very least, pulling a lot of it out, though, before the commander went down. So, not the end of the world. Certainly better than nothing. Oh, Strawberry goes down right next to all that expensive infrastructure she had just built right there. That's pretty, well, expensive. A little bit redundant, I suppose, but yeah, at the very least, going to be a nice trade for Blossom, who is probably going to be able to eat up most of that with hardly any issue here. This T2 is going to make short work of all these T1 static defenses. They're really just no match for those hounds once they start to get involved. Or will they? I guess Blossom not too interested in getting involved here. More of a show don't tell kind of a player, I suppose. Threaten with the hounds, but don't use them. We've got the Pounders going down. Sort of frees up these grunts to get a little bit more engaged in this fight here. Constructor trying to eat whatever it can before it inevitably falls. Not the worst idea. If you know you're going to lose it, you might as well try and get a little bit of value out of it. Resbots are now available down south, or well, yeah, down south in this hill here. It's north in altitude, but south in geopositional location. Very confusing. Very, very vexing. Resbots, however, do not care. North, south, east, or west. They just want to eat up these corpses and feed all that juicy metal back to whosoever they belong to. Nice Janus connection right there. That was really beautiful. Connecting with those Janus rockets is one of the few ways that you can come back at this engagement. It's really hard to get the Januses in a position where they can get a good connection, but certainly on top of a slope is one such position. Looks like Strawberry being instructed to produce units. Strawberry has been on a meteoric rise in true skill recently, and I feel like, well, I don't want to put any words in anyone's mouth, but I feel like we have some very high true skill players involved in the Brightworks community. That's all I'm saying. I'm not insinuating anything. I'm not saying anything. But maybe you should consider hitting that subscribe button down below and become a part of the community, huh? Maybe your true skill will get a little higher too. Anywho, Lashers and Hounds, because you name a more perfect duo. The Lashers have such a long vision range, line of sight range, and the Hounds desperately need a improved line of sight range. They're very, very nearsighted, making a making kind of their long range weapons pretty much useless unless you have a radar bot nearby, but also a large line of sight unit like a Lasher or Tick or anything like that. You get much more value out of your Hounds, in other words, is what I'm trying to say here. Big medium tank clash right in the middle of the map here. Pounders, medium tanks, and, well, that's about it. But still, shutting down all this static defense is quite nice. There goes our blue hero. Gonna decide to try and jump on top of all this. Ooh, I don't think he's gonna get it. There's the explosion radius. Oh, if those units stand still, well, he scuffed up a lot of them, but didn't manage to kill all of them. You know what? I don't think that was worth it. Yeah, I don't think the commander really got enough damage to justify that death. And now there's just too many units out here, especially those Pounders, which are just gonna mop up all of these grunts super, super cleanly. Nothing you can do about that. The Pounder is just built to deal with these swarms of units. That's gonna be the blue player, effectively eliminated from this game. Wow. All right. A Twitcher has been handed out here. Twitchers, very powerful for one reason and one reason only, and it's the fact that you can produce the Fiend. With just a combat engineer, you can produce one of the most powerful assault units that there is. Blossom in a whole lot of trouble. Whoa, Blossom's commander going down right next to their entire army. Okay, talk about a flip-flop battle right here. Blossom's commander going down, and now suddenly the green player is found completely without an army of any kind. We now have Hounds incurring all over the base of Zydeca, the inherited base, the new and improved base. I'd love to see these switched into their Gauss mode, by the way. Their heavy plasma mode is great for sieging bases and structures and all sorts of stuff, oh my. But much better to use the Gauss mode against any sort of fast-moving targets like raiding bots, fiends, sprinters, any of that sort of stuff. G-Dragon now caught by the ever-flowing tide of hate and well, pain. Red pain. As Angry Strawberry now kills another commander with just but the Grunt and the Fiend. It's a simple spell, but quite effective here. The Grunt is just one of those units that is extremely, extremely powerful when it starts to get into big enough numbers, and the Fiend only builds upon that by doing enough AoE damage to dissuade any large clumps of enemy grunts from grouping up too closely. Not to mention their self-destruction radius, which allows them a huge advantage against anything when they engage in that sort of clash of armies, right? We see that sometimes where just big big waves of assault units will just kind of, you know, one goes this way and one goes this way, and you get this kind of mess right in the middle. Fiends tend to do pretty well in those engagements because they explode when they die, and so every time one of your Fiends explodes, you end up getting a little bit of value out of it. Even in death, do they serve. Yeah, Hounds switch to their Gauss mode, and you can see they're a little bit more effective that way. I'm not going to say that it makes them into a completely different unit, but it certainly makes them trade like 10% more efficiently, maybe 20% more efficiently. Depends, of course, on terrain and your pacing and your kiting and all sorts of different factors, but overall, I would say it's probably about maybe a 15% advantage that you gain here. T1 spam, full-blown T1 spam setup here. It's a little bit odd. Feels a little early to me. Feels a little early for a T1 spam. We're 20 minutes into the game, so I guess it's not the most peculiar thing, but you have to remember this is Blossom, who's been set back a couple of times by raids piercing through and trying to do a whole bunch of damage back here. At the very least, we do have a fusion reactor up and running, and we're going to have a couple of these advanced energy converters up and running to crank some of that energy into metal shortly here, which is quite nice. Sheldon are going to be more than enough to rain down on this parade, as well as all these grunts and fiends. I mean, the Fiend is perfect for canceling out exactly what the army that Blossom is trying to go for. So I'm not sure exactly how effective that's going to be. I think Blossom might have a little bit of a misread here. Eating up this commander. Great decision. There's actually a lot of metal in the field right now. Nicely done that we're eating all that up. Reclaim oftentimes determines the winner of these battles. Hound's now engaging with J1013's commander here. We'll bring it pretty low. 38% on that commander. Just a couple of volleys from these Hounds. Yeah, keeping your commander out there once you get to that T2 stage is very risky. Quaker are out. Quaker are kind of the ideal solution to these Sheldon over here, just because they have similar attack ranges. I think the Sheldon, or the Quaker rather, could fire a little bit further. 915 versus the Sheldon's 850, so a little bit further reaching, the Quaker, but also a little bit less mobile. Can't really turn around and run when you're using the Quakers. You have to have a substantial assault force in front, otherwise you're just going to end up losing a lot of them to enemy assault forces. Down in the trenches, we see medium tanks going up against Fiends. Pretty good engagement for the Fiends. It's about as good as you're going to get in a bots versus vehicles matchup, short of like sharpshooters, whatnot, but per cost, it's pretty good trade. These Hounds have been a continuous thorn in the side of the blue team here, though. Oh, there we go. We did sniff out that commander here. You can see Ganymede going for the kill. Desperately wants to kill. Oh, and will manage to kill that commander here. Didn't bring along a resbot. Oh, does actually have a resbot over here. Yeah. Get this resbot in on that action. There we go. Nicely done. Resbot in immediately here to go eat up that juicy wreckage. Nicely done. A lot of these Hounds aren't in their Gauss mode, though, which is kind of unfortunate. Yeah, they're going to get jumped on by these Sprinters and these Fiends. Pretty much perfect engagement right there. Resbot will go down as well. And these Hounds will be punished for overextending here as the Fiends jump on top of all that and give them a fiery Vikings funeral. Medium tanks now suffering at the hands of a flamethrower turret. Will kill 2/3 of them, or 3/4 of them, looks like. This army is just continuing to grow over here. Okay. We've got a big bowl of T1 and T2 units. Everybody is kind of stopping the aggression. What is going on over here? This is Juniper and friends building a metal extractor on Zydeca's turf. Zydeca has already claimed this. That is, these are enemies. These are not friends. Regardless, they've decided that today is the day that differences will be settled. Oh, I guess not. It was short-lived. Never mind. Differences are in full swing once more. Welder versus welder battle. It's going to come down to who has a better spread on their units. And right now I'm liking it a whole lot more for Zydeca. Yep, you see those welders. When they get to focus down the other welders, going to take a much better trade here. Of course, that chain lightning effect is also diminished when you spread your units out as well. Makes for a much more effective engagement. Sheldon from the low ground actually managing to fire up onto the hill here. Whittle away some of these welders as well. A little bit of a tongue twister there, but either way, love this push right now. Yeah, drive them back. Excellent time to get some sharpshooters out. Ah, we do have sharpshooters. There we are. I thought I heard those bad boys. Yeah, get a couple of those sharpshooters out, and you're going to start picking off forces here. One by one, every time that they click that sharpshooter rifle, you're going to see things start to disappear, so to say, like a magician. The wave has been launched. The Green Menace. Oh, these are going to be some huge hits from these Quakers. Yep. Quakers firing into this massive crowd of pawns. Beautiful connections right there, but there's just too many pawns. There's too many of them, Captain. We're being overrun. The tidal wave of green launches a massive attack against the forces of Shog. The entire base that he spent so long porking up over here going to go down to just a ungodly amount of pawns that have crushed him. That being said, Commander lives with some excellent D-gun micro right there. Okay. All right. I did not see that coming. I really thought Shog was going to go down there, but manages to actually keep the Commander alive, and I think that's going to be the bulwark that keeps the center of the map firmly in the red player's control here. I think if that Commander had gone down and a lot of those pawns had survived, they would have had to contend with a lot of these medium mines, but that would have been excellent mine clearing if they had done so. But that is not the case, as Shog has lived, and so will manage to keep the center of the map well and alive. Rebuilding. Rattlesnake clearing house. Yeah, Rattlesnake in a very good position up there, I have to admit. JXG has a good point. Now this is cheeky. Yeah, we've got a couple of arbiters firing away over here. Oh, they're gonna fire on this tremor. Yeah, the tremor's just sitting still. Uh-oh. This is a tricky battle. neither of these wants to be engaged with the other here. Oh, but the arbiters will win out here, and the tremor does go down. Nicely done. Gonna prevent all of the tremor fire from landing up on this hillside here. Bunch of pop-up Sabo batteries, the Scorpion batteries, have been built on that hillside. They're going to be great for whittling down any units that might be coming across in that direction. This Rattlesnake is an American hero right here. Nicely done. Well, nice-ish, right? Better against AoE, but, you know, not the end of the world. Spybot over here allowed for perfect vision over here, by the way. That's why I think sprinters were the weapon of choice. Might not be a bad idea to detonate that. Probably not necessary, though. Sprinters now ravaging the base of GD Dragon. Meanwhile, big Recluse attack down south here. Juniper and friends suffering heavily at the hands of those, well, the many hands of those spiders. 6 hands apiece on those spider bots, and they're all headed directly into your base. Firing now on whatever they can. Oh, you're gonna send a volley towards the energy converters there. Not the end of the world. I would have liked to see that T2 lab go down. I think that would have been well worth it here. But at the end of the day, taking out the fusion reactor also going to severely stall Juniper and Friends' economy here. She's gonna have to rebuild as quick as possible. Sprinter. Oh, one sprinter remains. It's a hero right there. He's gonna snipe 2 butlers. 1 butler, I guess. Oh, if we could snipe these, that would be huge. It'd be huge if we could snipe those energy converters. Oh. Oh no. Oh, very nice. Blossom does notice just in time to save the energy converters right there. That could have been devastating. Energy converters could have gone down right there, and it could have shattered the economy here for the green player. But luckily, manages to keep that alive as another wave of infantry is getting ready to move out. There's also Fat Boys included in the mix. That's quite nice in case you deal with a big spam of units. At this point, the center of the map has devolved into well, unit artillery spam central. Got scuttles just hanging out in random locations. It's dangerous to do that. You never know when one of those scuttles is going to accidentally wander towards your own unit, or your own army, your own units, and suddenly you find yourself in a really tricky situation. I want the scuttle alive, but I also want my units alive. What do you do about that? Scuttles like to go out with a bang, in other words. They're an unalive bomber. Say that to keep YouTube clear. Things are looking better and better here for the red team. Yeah, Strawberry is pushing very nicely on the northern side here. There is a spy bot providing that perfect vision over here. That's why these Sheldon are able to siege away from such a long range here with, well, seemingly perfect accuracy, more or less. We also have a nice little push on the southern side as well. A bunch of sprinters do run on through. J1013's commander did get revived here, but it will not be able to engage with those sprinters. And frankly, there's not really much it could have done, save from some extremely, extremely lovely D guns. Sheldon making short work of this middle section, though. Yeah. This is the only section of the red team that looks pretty weak right now. I.e. the only section that I think blue has a real advantage in. That is a lot of metal extractors there, Zydka. Or metal storages, rather, Zydka. I think 2 or 3 might have sufficed here. But either way, sprinters have now gotten into the back line, and they are tearing apart all the wind turbines. Going to make very short work of all these. Oh, they don't get chain reacted to death, which they will. Never mind. Some problems just solve themselves, don't they? Doesn't matter, though. Sheldon are going to start marching forward. Spybot is going to see that huge wave of pawns starting to get aggressive. These will chain react. These are too close together. You need to space them out a little bit further. If we pop these in just the right order, you'll see they'll chain react. It'll be very slow and pretty funny, but yeah, they will chain react with each other, which is just a hilarious thing to see. We haven't quite hit that snowball of death, right, where we get too many Sheldons that they kind of just whittle down to anything with 1 or 2 volleys. But we're starting to get there. We're definitely starting to get there. We have 9 out right now. I think 18. You double that number and you hand it to the next person, you're probably going to be in a pretty good position as far as that's concerned. Oh, well, that's funny. Strawberry has resurrected the rattlesnake up on this hill and has now turned it against her opponent, using the rattlesnake against them as a sort of, well, de facto hardpoint here to make sure that there's no further incursions over here. The fiends and grunts going to accompany that. That's quite nice. Yeah, I love to see that. Going to be able to actually, yeah, take control of your opponent's expensive T2 defenses. 2,500 metal for that bad boy, so well worth it. Oh no, this is nice. Fiends running through from the northern side, realizing that there's an opportunity path directly into the center of the base. They're going to snipe the T2 metal extractor. We really need to snipe that T2 lab. You know what? Oh, that was nice. Nice self-D micro here. Trying to explode those fiends against the army. When you have less fiends, oftentimes it's an effective strategy. Self-destruct them for a little bit more value. Angry Strawberry is going on a tear, though, trying to burn her way back into the, well, the heart of the blue team. And I believe she's found it. Fusion reactor's in a lot of trouble. Ooh, are we gonna finish those? Trying to peel away the right number of forces. That's always nice. Yep, trying to get just the right amount of damage right where it's needed. Energy converters go down. Fusion reactors will chain react. Advanced fusion reactor just barely stays up and running here. Gonna send forces in to finish the job. Large counterattack on this northern side over here, but the rattlesnake getting a decent trade, as well as some scorpion batteries up on the northern side. Fusion reactor does pop. Advanced fusion reactor, that is, to the remainder forces from Angry Strawberry. I think she's just taken out the major powerhouse in the center of the map. That mitochondria is no more. Quaker's going to disintegrate that T2 lab here, and I think it's going to be all she wrote. You know what? This rattlesnake is getting a nice engagement here. Sure. Okay. Wow, you could not ask for a better engagement. All those units are as tightly clumped together as humanly possible. Agitators as well as the rattlesnake just getting a fabulous trade right now. Okay. There might be other stuff happening, but I just can't peel my eyes away from the carnage. Wow. Those welders, man. They could have all been full health. Blossom probably looked away, trying to deal with some of the other crises around the map. Looked back at their army and realized, wait a second, why are all of them at half health or less? This is not good. And indeed, at that point decides it is time to tap out of this game. Resign vote is called, and that is going to be red team snatching victory here in the jaws of defeat with an excellent little push on the northern side. Angry Strawberry winning the golden cow for doing everything. Nicely done. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you take that second that it takes to hit the like button down below on your way out. Really helps me and helps these videos out and helps Bar as a community out because these videos reach newer and newer people. I get comments all the time about people that say that they have no idea what this game is. They ask me what it is, and I feel like that's just one more person that I've addicted in this game that I love, and it always makes me feel all fuzzy inside. If you'd like to join in and help with that, you can hit the like button, you can subscribe, you can do all that good stuff and more, and I hope beyond everything else, that you have a great rest of your day. I will see you in the very next Beyond All Reason video. Peace out.